everything that followed. The First National Bank stood on the corner of 5th and Main. Grand marble steps, brass fixtures, and chandeliers that sparkled with old money arrogance. I'd banked there for months since Jonathan and I moved to the city, though every visit made me feel slightly out of place among the suited professionals and diamond-clad clientele. Inside, the lobby hummed with quiet importance. I smiled at the young teller behind the counter. "Good morning," I said politely. "I'd like to withdraw $500 from my checking account." She smiled back, took my ID and card, and typed a few things into her computer. Then her expression changed. Her brow furrowed slightly, and she looked at me again, differently this time. "One moment, please," she said. "I need approval for this withdrawal." That caught me off guard. $500? It wasn't a fortune. Still, I nodded, thinking it must be some new policy. She walked to a glass-walled office in the back, speaking to someone out of sight. Then the woman herself appeared. Amanda Sterling. She walked out like she owned the building, and perhaps believed she did. Tall, perfectly styled blonde hair, crisp white designer suit, diamonds flashing under the chandelier light. She moved with the kind of confidence that comes from a lifetime of never hearing the word no. "I'm Amanda Sterling, branch manager," she announced coldly. "I understand you're attempting to withdraw a significant amount today." Significant? The way she said it made it sound like I was robbing the bank. "It's just $500, I said quietly, "for groceries and some household things." Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, lingering on my sweater and old purse. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. $500 is quite a large sum for someone in your circumstances," she said. "I'm sure you understand we have to be cautious with large withdrawals." My circumstances. The word stung. I glanced around the lobby at the polished shoes, designer handbags, expensive watches. I understood what she meant. I didn't look like I belonged there. "I have proper identification," I said steadily, "and I'm certain there's more than enough in my account." Amanda held my ID up to the light, like she was inspecting counterfeit bills. Her manicured nails clicked on the keyboard as she typed. The sound echoed through the suddenly quiet lobby. Then, loudly enough for everyone to hear, she said, "I'm seeing some irregularities here. Large deposits followed by immediate withdrawals. This could indicate fraudulent activity." A wave of humiliation swept over me. "Excuse me," I managed to say. "Are you accusing me of fraud?" Amanda folded her arms. "I'm asking for documentation. Proof of employment, recent pay stubs, verification of deposit sources." "That's absurd," I said, my voice trembling with anger now. "It's my money. You can't deny me access to it." "Ma'am," she said sharply, "step aside. You're holding up the line. Until you provide the required documentation, I cannot authorize your withdrawal." I turned, searching for any sympathetic face, but the other customers had already looked away. A security guard near the entrance took a step closer. My heart pounded in my chest. "I want to speak to someone else," I said. "There must be another manager." Her smile tightened. "I am the manager, and I'm asking you to leave the premises." "Please," I whispered. "You're making a mistake." She didn't even blink. "Security," she called. "Please escort this woman out." The guard, kind but firm, approached me. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me." I wanted to fight, to scream that they were wrong. But surrounded by cold stares, I could only gather what little dignity I had left and walk toward the exit. Behind me, Amanda's voice carried across the marble lobby. "We cannot allow suspicious activity to compromise the safety of our customers' accounts." The words rang in my ears as I stepped into the crisp air outside. My eyes burned, but I refused to cry, not where she could see. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and called Jonathan. No answer. He was probably in a meeting. So I stood there, alone on the busy sidewalk, just another woman having a terrible day. Then I heard it, the low, steady purr of an engine. A silver Rolls-Royce Phantom glided toward the curb. Heads turned. It was the kind of car that made people stop mid-step. The driver's door opened and my heart caught in my throat. Jonathan. He stepped out in his tailored charcoal gray suit, the sunlight glinting off his cufflinks. His every movement radiated quiet authority. When his eyes found me, red-faced, trembling, his expression shifted from concern to anger. "Surely," he said, reaching me in 3 strides. "What happened?" "They threw me out," I whispered. "I just tried to withdraw $500. She said I looked suspicious. Jonathan's jaw tightened, his hands gentle but steady as he held me. "Which bank?" he asked, though his eyes had already found a gleaming First National sign behind me. "The manager, Amanda Sterling," I said bitterly. "She said $500 was too much for someone in my circumstances." He looked at me, his eyes filled with both love and fury. "You are my wife. You are kind, capable, and deserving of respect. No one has the right to treat you like that." Then he took my hand. "Come on, let's go clear this up." I hesitated, but followed him inside. The moment Jonathan walked through those glass doors, the atmosphere changed. Conversation stopped. Every eye turned toward him. There was something about his presence that made people instinctively straighten their posture. We walked to the same teller. "Good afternoon," Jonathan said evenly. "I'd like to speak with your branch manager about how my wife was treated." The teller's eyes widened, and before she could respond, Amanda appeared from her office, clearly ready to continue her performance. But the moment she saw Jonathan, her face drained of color. "Mr. Whitmore," she stammered. I didn't realize." Jonathan's voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. "Miss Sterling, I believe you just ejected my wife from your establishment for attempting to withdraw money from her own account." The lobby fell utterly silent. Customers stopped mid-transaction. Employees froze at their desks. Amanda's composure cracked. "There was a misunderstanding," she said quickly. "Some irregularities that required verification. Standard protocol." Jonathan raised an eyebrow. "Irregularities in an account I personally set up with funds I personally deposited?" Amanda blinked. I wasn't aware." "You weren't aware that she was wealthy enough to deserve respect?" he interrupted, voice low and dangerous. "You judged her based on her appearance." Amanda opened her mouth, then closed it again. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Jonathan's presence filled the marble lobby like a storm about to break. Every eye was on him as he stood across from Amanda Sterling, one so smug, now visibly trembling. "The fact is," he said evenly, "you made assumptions about my wife. You treated her with disrespect, humiliated her, and accused her of fraud, all because she didn't look wealthy enough for you." Amanda's polished confidence shattered. "Mr. Whitmore, please. There's been a misunderstanding. I was only following procedure." "Procedure?" Jonathan's tone was calm, but each word landed like a hammer. "Your procedure is to accuse paying customers of criminal activity because they aren't dressed like you think they should be?" She swallowed hard, her voice faltering. "Sir, I didn't realize she was my wife," Jonathan finished sharply. "And even if she weren't, she deserved respect. You had no right to treat anyone that way." A nervous whisper ran through the room. I could feel the energy shift. Customers who had watched me being humiliated were now staring at Amanda, their expressions filled with judgment. Some even shook their heads. Amanda opened her mouth again, her voice cracking under the weight of Jonathan's composure. "I assure you, Mr. Whitmore, if I had known..." Jonathan took a deliberate step closer. "If you had known what? That she drives a luxury car? That she's married to someone wealthy? Would that have changed your behavior?" Amanda's lips parted, but no words came out. He let the silence stretch before continuing. "You see, Miss Sterling, that's exactly the problem. You treat people differently depending on what they look like, instead of who they are." Every banker, teller, and customer in that lobby was frozen. No one dared move. Finally, Jonathan spoke again, quietly, but with a sharpness that made Amanda flinch. "Do you know what Whitmore Industries is?" Her face went pale. "Of course, sir. You're one of our largest commercial clients." "That's correct," he said. "We hold multiple corporate accounts here, operating funds, payroll for over 10,000 employees, and several investment portfolios." Amanda blinked rapidly, clearly realizing how deep in trouble she was. Jonathan leaned slightly on the counter. Would you like to guess the total value of those accounts? She shook her head mutely. Well, he continued, it's enough that your regional director personally calls me every quarter to thank me for our continued business. But as of today, he paused, that relationship ends. Gasps rippled through the lobby. Amanda's jaw dropped. Mr. Whitmore, please, she stammered, panic rising in her voice. Surely we can discuss this privately. The time for private discussion, Jonathan interrupted, was before you humiliated my wife in front of an entire room of people. He turned, addressing the room at large. Let this be a lesson to everyone here. Wealth isn't measured by clothes, cars, or jewelry. It's measured by character, by how you treat others when you think they can't do anything for you. No one dared speak. Even the security guard who had escorted me out stood frozen near the door, shame flickering in his eyes. Jonathan turned back to Amanda, his tone softening, but only slightly. Miss Sterling, I hope you take this as an opportunity to reflect. You had the power to make someone's day easier. Instead, you chose arrogance and cruelty. My wife is one of the kindest people I know, and she deserved far better than this. Amanda's composure broke completely. Tears welled in her eyes, smudging her mascara. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice shaking. I made a terrible mistake. Jonathan nodded once, his face unreadable. You certainly did. Then he reached for my hand. Come on, love, he said gently. Let's find a bank that actually deserves our business. We walked across that same marble floor, but this time I didn't feel small or powerless. Heads turned as we passed. Some customers nodded respectfully. Others whispered words I couldn't quite hear. But I held my head high, my fingers laced with Jonathan's. Just before we reached the door, Jonathan paused and looked back one last time. His voice carried clearly through the silent room. Oh, and Miss Sterling, just for the record, my wife could have withdrawn $50,000 today if she wanted to. The account has more than sufficient funds. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. We didn't wait to see Amanda's reaction. Jonathan opened the door for me, and together we stepped back into the sunlight. Outside, the Rolls-Royce gleamed in the afternoon light. As Jonathan helped me into the car, I caught a glimpse through the glass wall. Inside, Amanda had sunk into a chair, her face buried in her hands, while the staff murmured around her in shock. When Jonathan slid into the driver's seat, he turned to me with that familiar calm expression. I'm sorry you had to go through that, he said quietly. No one should ever treat you that way. I took a deep breath, finally letting the tension melt away. I'm just glad it's over. He smiled faintly. You handled yourself with dignity. I'm proud of you. I smiled back, feeling the truth of his words wash over me. You know, I said, half laughing to the leftover tears, I only wanted $500 for groceries and maybe some flowers. Jonathan chuckled, the sound low and warm. Then let's buy the most beautiful flowers in the city and have lunch somewhere special. You deserve it. Celebrate what? I asked. He looked at me with a glint of pride. Celebrate the fact that you're the strongest, most graceful person I know, and that Amanda Sterling just learned the most expensive lesson of her career. As we drove away, I watched the bank shrink in the side mirror, the building that had witnessed both my humiliation and my redemption. For the first time all day, I felt light again. 3 months later, a letter arrived at our home. The envelope was thick, the handwriting elegant but uncertain. It was from Amanda Sterling. Her words were handwritten, no company letterhead, no corporate polish. Just honesty. She apologized again for what she'd done. She wrote that she had been demoted from her position as branch manager, but was grateful for it. Losing everything, she said, had forced her to see people differently. Your wife's grace, she wrote, taught me a lesson I will never forget. I judged someone by appearance and paid the price. I only hope one day I can treat others with the same dignity she showed me, even in the face of my cruelty. I never wrote back, but I didn't throw the letter away. It sits folded neatly in my desk drawer, a quiet reminder what respect, kindness, and justice really mean. Now, when I visit our new bank, the staff greets me by name. They ask about my day, handle every transaction with genuine warmth. There's no suspicion, no arrogance, just simple human respect. And every time I make a withdrawal, no matter how small, I think back to that day, to the lesson Amanda learned, and the one I carry still. Never judge someone by their appearance, because karma has a way of showing up, sometimes in a silver Rolls-Royce.